What's up everybody, I'm Jesse Showalter and this is another episode of Let's Make That in Sketch, the show where I teach you interface design techniques as well as how to use the popular design software Sketch for Mac. In this episode, we're going to be remaking the Wunderlist Todo app, which is an awesome free app for iOS and Android and desktop and laptop. I use it all the time. And in doing so, when we recreate it, we're going to learn one of Sketch's most powerful features, nested symbols. I'm talking symbols inside of symbols inside of symbols, so that when you make one change to one interface component, it happens across every artboard in your entire project. That's an amazing thing. I love this feature. I love this product. Let's get started. Okay, so here we go. We have Sketch open and we have our artboards already created. I've taken the liberty of just kind of creating the base of some of what we're gonna do here today. So you can see on the left-hand side, I have an artboard titled Theirs. This is literally just a screen grab from my device of Wunderlist. And you can see on the right-hand side, I have just gone ahead and recreated kind of that plate that we're gonna work on top of. And that is that top header section, that bottom navigation, the background gradient, and I've gone ahead and created that first kind of like input field. Because what we want to do is we really want to focus on creating reusable interface components today, and that is the magic of that is all going to take place within the individual kind of table cell, like to-do items themselves. So let's get started with that. I have this file saved as wunderlist.sketch. You can find this file down in the description of this video if you're interested in downloading it and following along. And when you open up this video, you're gonna see 3 pages. You'll see the mobile, which we're currently working on. You'll see the desktop, which is something I've kind of grabbed off of my desktop version. We're gonna be doing that for our extra credit today. And then lastly is symbols page, which if you don't know how to use symbols, we're gonna teach you that right now. And then also there should be a couple of icons saved right there near the original artboards. These are going to be the main icons we'll be working with throughout the tutorial. So with all that being said, time to dig in, time to get started, time to make this thing happen. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see what are the reusable interface components that we need. The first thing I see is right here, these kind of header tags. Okay, so they're section tags, whatever you want to call them, but those are the top of every quote-unquote section. So that's a really simple symbol, so we're going to start with that. Okay, we're going to drag out just a rounded square, and it's probably not going to need to be as rounded as that just made it. It's a border radius of 8 right now. We're going to drop it down to like 3 or 4, something like that, and we'll take our color picker and we'll just grab inside there, and now we have just that basic shape. Now again, this might be a little bit off, but we're not going for precision here. We're going for the overarching kind of features, how to do this. So we've made that first one, that first shape, and now we're going to take our text tool and make it not so massive. We'll just write the word YouTube inside, and we're going to pick something like Helvetica News, just like a really simple font, and we'll just drag that size down like something pretty small, maybe like 10. And inside of our typography options, we'll choose uppercase, and that's just gonna make our typography a little smaller. Actually, it's gonna make our typography all uppercase, and we made it a little bit smaller to fit, and we'll grab these two and we'll line them up center and vertically and horizontally center them. Always do that. And then what we're gonna do is to make our first really simple symbol is we're gonna just kind of grab both of those by highlighting over them, and we're going to press the create symbol button up in the tools panel. It's going to give us the opportunity to name this, so we want to call this header dash tag, I think. Okay, so now we have a header tag symbol, and if you kick over to the symbols page, Sketch has gone ahead and made us our first symbol. Okay, so we'll kick back over to our mobile page real quick. Now you can see if I drag out a couple different instances of this symbol, okay, remember that terminology, and I come back into my master symbol, my symbols page. If I change that color to be like a red or like that pinkish color, it's gonna change every instance of that symbol. So you can see how powerful right off the bat symbols are, because they allow you to make one change. And it may not seem like such a big deal when you're looking at 1 or 2 artboards, but what if you have an entire project? What if you're prototyping a brand new app or a website, and you have buttons or components across 100 different artboards? You do not want to be wasting the time kind of mindlessly changing colors in each and every one, you want to use symbols. They're such a time saver, okay? So we're just gonna go back and undo that and bring it back to its original color. You can also see a great thing that Sketch does is it's gonna identify elements within the symbol that are worthy to be overridden. And once you click on that instance of the symbol in the right hand panel, you'll see over here, we now get an override section. So the thing that Sketch is identifying right now is the text inside of it. So we can rename that, like from YouTube to Twitter, and it's going to balance it. Now, important note, something important to remember is when we go to our symbols page and we click on our symbol, right now the text is left aligned. So that's not going to spread the text or kind of like render the text evenly within the space. We want to make sure it's center aligned and vertically centered. Now, whenever we do that and we override it with words, it's going to stay perfectly aligned. Like I can write one letter and it'll stay perfectly aligned. But what if I write a little too much? Okay, it can't fit. Well, that's why Sketch is so smart. They also allow you to resize symbols or instances of symbols, okay? So you just take this and stretch it a little bit and we'll get all of a sudden the perfect kind of like a version of that symbol, okay, with the spread out text. And so you can see that's how simple it is to make reusable components. So now we have a component. And now we want to start making our to-do, which is where like all the magic happens. So we're going to drag out another rounded square, and it kept that same size of border radius for us. And we're just going to space it down a little bit and make sure it's center aligned. Okay. Now we have kind of our background or our initial plate for the to-do. What we want to do now is we look inside this very basic to-do item, and you can see it has a couple things. It has that checkbox, the typography, and it also has a star on the right hand side. Well, underneath that we also see that you can add an attachment, and that would add the pin symbol. Okay, once you click the star and make it important, now you're going to flag it as important, and it's possible to have not a one line but a two line version, okay, of this to-do. We're going to need to make as few symbols as possible to recreate this. That's our mission right now. So let's start first by creating a checkbox. We're going to create another rounded square. We're going to drag that thing out and make it about, I'm thinking, what's the size here? 17 by 17? Yeah, let's go 17 by 17, and we'll give it a little border. That looks about right for a checkbox. We'll take that checkbox and just make sure that it's perfectly centered within our to-do. We're also going to take our typography tool and just make sure that it has the right color, and maybe bump up the size of our typography, and we'll just do to-do description. Okay, I can't spell today. So to-do description. The to-do description goes here. We'll just write that like that. So we're going to take all our elements so far, just make sure we're staying aligned here. And then now we're going to drag our star symbol down into our to-do item, okay? So let's just get proper spacing here. We're about 13. Let's make it 15 away from the edge. We'll make our text 15 away from that edge. And we'll make sure our star is 15 away from that edge. We're going to make these similarly sized, okay? And we're going to want to get a similar kind of border color for our star, okay? And we're going to grab all of those elements, and again, we're going to just center them. And now we're going to grab all of them again, and we're going to create a symbol out of it, okay? So we'll call this to do. We'll just call it to do, okay? And so now we have a symbol, and we can drag out multiple versions of that symbol. And you can see in the overrides, we can fill in the to-do description right there. And that's all the overrides it gives us. Now, we're now gonna take our dive into making nested symbols, okay? So that each symbol has more complex overrides to it. So we're going to double click on the instance of the symbol, and it takes us to the symbols page. And you can see here is our to-do within our symbols page. So let's just zoom in on it. What we want to do now is we want to click on each individual element and make that a symbol as well, okay? So we're gonna click on the symbol, and we'll make this checkbox unchecked. Okay, now that's a symbol, and if you look, you'll see we have a little checkbox symbol that Sketch has placed over here for us, okay? Likewise, we want to take our star and we want to create a symbol. We'll say star unchecked. Let's just keep them similarly named. So you can see now we have the symbols created inside, okay? And just by doing that, literally, just by making these guys symbols, okay? And they're now inside of another symbol here on our symbols page. If we go back, you'll see just by clicking on our to-do item, we now have overrides for the star and the checkbox. They're kind of boring overrides right now. They're literally, you can turn it off or turn it on. That's the level of control that we have right now. But we want more control. We want to be able to create either checked or unchecked, starred important or not important. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our little icons and we're just gonna paste them in here because we're about to use them here in a second, okay? And what we wanna do is we're gonna bring our symbols kind of right near our to-do, okay? Because we wanna just keep those around where they kind of, we wanna keep them in context of where they go within that master symbol. So here we go, we have our symbols and I have this checkbox. So let's start with the checkbox. We want to be able to have this checkbox, okay, the checked version of it or the unchecked version. This is really, really important. One thing we have to understand is that Sketch is going to be looking for similarly sized and similarly named symbols that are inside of your symbol to use as like-minded overrides, okay? So I want to, in that override back on our in our to-do, I want to be able to have this star field right here, and I want to be able to open up that drop down and see star checked and star unchecked, okay? To do that, they need to be similarly named and similarly sized. Well, you can see if I try to put my check mark inside of here, it's going to change the size of it. So let's just go ahead, I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to take another check box and I'm going to move my check mark inside of it, just like that. And you can see now, if I create a symbol out of this, that's exactly how I'd want it to look on the page. We're gonna call this check mark checked, or checkbox, excuse me, checkbox checked, okay? And so Sketch has gone ahead and made that symbol for me, okay? Let's just close everything up so you can see it. I have my unchecked and I have my checked, okay? And they're right next to each other in the layers panel as well. You can see my unchecked is 17 by 17 and my checked is 21 by 21, okay? So we still cannot use it as an override. Although they're similarly named, they are not similarly sized. So let's go back and figure out how we're gonna do that. We're literally just gonna take the canvas that this is on, okay? And the other one is 21 by 21. We're gonna take this canvas and we're gonna make it 21 by 21. We're going to, this is just an instance of it. So we're looking for the actual symbol itself. Okay, there it is. There's our guy. So if we put them right next to each other, now we can see when we zoom in that the checkbox is going to be anchored the bottom left corner. That way they're in the same exact space, okay? And you can see in doing so, it's changed the size. Actually, we have to just set to original size within our symbol. And we want to realign it, okay, the way that we want it, just like that. And we're looking good right now. So now when we head back to our main page and click on the overrides, you can see you have checkbox checked and unchecked. And now when we drag out multiple instances of this symbol, we can check some of them and uncheck others. And that doesn't change anything to do with the master symbol, okay? So that's an amazing override system. We've made our first nested symbol. Now we're gonna get more complex, okay? We're gonna go in, well, we're gonna do a really similar thing with our star, okay? So we want our star to be in there, obviously. Here's our star unchecked, okay? And it's in a 20 by 20. And the next thing we wanna do is we wanna make that flagged version, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna draw out a rectangle, just like so. We're gonna leave the star the same size, and I forget what color that guy is. I'm just gonna steal it like that, the color, and I'm going to paste the color in there, and I'm gonna move this shape backwards, okay? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit return. I'm gonna head into the edit mode or the edit shape mode, okay? And I wanna put a a point in between the two. I'm going to create that little kind of flag symbol thing there. And a great trick to do that is just if you hold the command symbol down, it's going to identify the exact middle between 2 points. And so you can just click right there, and we're just going to drag that up and make a little flag symbol, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to make sure our star is placed in the right spot, okay? So maybe what we want to do actually is we want to change our master symbol and make our star a little smaller, okay, so it doesn't look awkward. We'll drag our flag down so it's a little bit more nicely spaced, okay, and now we're going to take our star icon that we have in here, we'll paste it over here, and we'll bring our guy up right there. There's our star. It's all centered. I think it's centered. Let's see, what do we got? 5 on each side. It's good. It's looking good. So we're going to take our border and make it white, perfectly aligned. And we are going to grab this and we're going to create a symbol. We're going to call it star checked, okay? Now we have a star checked symbol. But again, it's different sizes. This one is 26 by 40, whereas our original star is 16 by 16. So we want to change this to be 26 by 40, okay, and we're going to set to original size so it doesn't look all wonky. Drag it down about where the other one is, and you can see that our star is 12 from the top here, and let's delete this instance and bring our actual star checked symbol over. This one is 10 from the top, so this one should be 10 from the top as well. Okay, so now what we have is we should actually similarly space these to make it in the middle, okay? And that's actually fine if it's not, because it's gonna flip over. So we can make our check star exactly where we want it, and we can make this one exactly in the middle of its canvas, okay? And maybe actually cheat it and go down just a little bit more. So now you can see over on the mobile page, if we go back, we have star unchecked and we have star checked. Okay, and so again, we can now drag multiple instances of this guy out. We want to do a similar thing. We want to put our pin, okay, we want to create a symbol out of our, we'll say, attachment, okay, and we'll drag our pin to be inside. That's actually an instance of it. So, oh, we wanted that actually, sorry. So we have our instance of it, and we actually want our pin's outline, I don't know why that's a darker color, to match the rest of the styles there. So we have our pin, and now you can see what we'll actually do is we'll just, I think we'll hide this, okay? On default, we won't have a pin, okay? Oh, maybe we do have to actually keep it up like that. So let's put the attachment there like that, and what we should have is attachment or no attachment. So now we can just drag instances of this symbol out. You can see how complex they can get. We'll just give it a little bit of spacing there like that, and we'll make this one have an attachment and be starred as important and not be completed. Just FYI side note, Wunderlist style of a completed to-do is not a check mark. It literally just removes it from the list, but it was just another good example of that nested symbol kind of thing we're doing. So we can just change these up a whole bunch and make each individual one. Again, you can still change the name, so we can put get the milk in this one, if I could spell, and we could do, how about, so now we have all these symbols kind of drawn out, and you can see that how easy it is to create these. Now we're gonna tackle just 2 more issues, and one is how do we make a second line of text in there, okay? We wanna be able to have a second line of text, and we want to be able to also make sure that as they expand into the desktop version, these interface components are completely reusable no matter what we're designing this app for. So let's do that. We're gonna go back into the symbols page, and we wanna do this with the least amount of symbols as possible, obviously. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rename this to-do to be to-do, and we'll call it 1 line, like that. That's to-do 1 line. Now we're gonna duplicate this symbol, and we're gonna name this one to-do 2 line, and we'll call it red, okay? And we'll duplicate, actually we'll wait to duplicate that. But we're basically just gonna make one more symbol, and we're gonna drop the text and we're gonna make it a red color and drop the size down. This is like a due date, okay? And we'll say the past due date, okay, just like that. And we'll kind of bring this text together just like so. And we're gonna take that symbol and we'll just duplicate it again. And we'll say 2-line blue, or we're just gonna take the color picker and pick a nice blue color, and we'll retitle this and just say due date. Okay, now you can see we have 3 different to-do symbols, okay? And we're gonna just go out here and see. Now we have like a greater control over the overrides, where I can literally, up here in the master override, I can choose which symbol I want. So is this a to-do with a 1-line? Okay, great. I have a to-do now with a 1-line. That's, I named those incorrectly. So let's go back to our symbols page. This should be to-do 1-line, 2-line red. Oh no, they're right. Okay, sorry. So I want to just change that to a 2-line blue, okay, which means it's got a due date on it. And then I want to do another one with a 2-line red, which means the date is past due. And you would just type the date in here, May 1st, 2017, or whatever you want to say. And now you have like reusable components. They're using the same star and pin and checkbox symbol inside of them. One symbol for the checkbox, right? That's just being reused. Now we can just grab all of these and group them together and drop them down into a new group, and we can rename the top and start again, and you have reusable components. Now we're gonna move from the symbols that we've created, the complex nested symbols, and we're gonna figure out how to make these reusable in all sizes, whether that's a tablet or desktop or web app, whatever you want to do. So we're gonna grab this group and we're gonna move over to the desktop view, and I'm gonna paste that in. Now you can see we have our components on our desktop artboard, and we want to be able to stretch these components, okay? So I wish I could just stretch these out and make them fit. So as the size, it's almost responsive in a way. I wish I could make that happen. Is there a way? There actually is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fix that, and we're gonna go into, you can see if I just try to stretch each individual symbol, it stretches out all wonky. Well, what Sketch is going to give us is some really great symbol control. If we double click on the symbol, we want to click on each instance, okay, inside of the symbol itself, all right? So what we're going to do is, you can see on the override, where the overrides would be, there's some kind of symbol controls. The resizing controls, what we're going to be looking at here. We're literally, we don't want to stretch it, right, which is the default for some reason, but we want to pin to corner. That's going to pin that object to the nearest corner or corners so that it doesn't move. Just so you can see, we'll go back now and we'll try to stretch. Now, how the star and the pin are stretching, but the checkbox is not stretching. Okay, it's staying the same size and it's pinning it to that corner no matter how wide it gets. So let's do a little bit more of that action. That's awesome. We're going to take our star and we're going to pin to corner. We're going to take our attachment icon. We're going to pin that to corner. Okay, let's go back and see what happens now. Everything's stretching out really, really nicely. We have one more little issue, and that is that the text is actually leaving its left anchored position, and we don't want that, okay? So what we're gonna do is double click into the symbol again, and we're gonna take these symbols, okay? We wanna make sure it's left aligned, okay? And we want to, I think, resize object. Let's try that, okay? So we're gonna resize the object. What it's doing is it's actually taking the width of the text area. So for instance, like this width right here is set to auto. We should actually fix that, okay, and drag it all the way out to be near the pin. Anything after that is going to be like an ellipse. It's going to just dot, dot, dot after that, okay? And so we'll set that about to there. And now each one of them is set to resize. So you can see it's just opening up more space for the text to go in. So you can see if I type in like something really, really long in here, it's now been given the space to receive that text because it's stretching it, not stretching it, resizing that text box to account or allot for the increased space size, okay? So we'll just type veggies in there. But now you can see, let's just backtrack. You can grab all of these components and resize them. And we do have to go back in to our symbols page and make sure we've done the same with all of these symbols, like so. Just make sure that those are pinned to corner as well. Now, no matter what version of it is, excuse me, let's go back to our desktop, they're all gonna stretch fine. We gotta probably make that adjustment with those due dates, since those are 2 lines like that. Make those fixed, stretch out the length for them, and then say resize the object. And then the last thing we probably wanna do is, when we go to our desktop, how's our header tag looking? It's looking pretty nice actually. It's stretching out really, really nicely. So it can do that, and the whole thing is gonna stay centered over the group, just like it's supposed to, and the boxes are gonna stretch perfectly, all the elements inside, nothing's gonna get messed up, and we can take these objects and create new instances, these symbols create new instances of them, and we can still have the fine-tuned control to be changing them as we see fit. Now, again, this is why it's so awesome, because I've now designed the iOS version and the desktop version, and later on, like maybe during a design critique with my art director or with the rest of my creative team, we can look at it and say, you know what, I don't really like the color of the flags. Can we change that? And we could come back in and say, hey, maybe we want to change our brand color to purple. Okay, we come back in, everything is changed across all artboards in your entire project. Hallelujah. Sketch, you are awesome. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial. If you enjoyed it and you want to see maybe some more videos in the future, click that like and subscribe button down below, because I'm going to be doing a lot more in this series as well as others. I hope you guys are designing amazing stuff, having an amazing week, and really honing in on having an effective and an efficient workflow. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have any ideas or questions, I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Talk to you guys later. See ya.